Okay, it's 6:05 PM. I'll call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Sarah, could you do roll call, please?
President Bucher,
Here.
Trustee Barheit,
Here.
Trustee Brooks,
She will be late.
Trustee Polly,
Here.
Trustee Faber,
Here.
Trustee Hopkins,
Here.
and Trustee Gant.
Here.
Thank you.
Did we meet open meeting compliance?
Agendas were posted Friday, January 16th with an amended agenda posted yesterday, January 19th, both online and here at Village Hall.
Okay. Trustees, do I have approval of the agenda sequence?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. We'll go into public comments. Please address the board. There will be no back and forth discussions, and there is a 3-minute time limit. Mr. Woodkey, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
It's Woodkey, 22416 88th Street, Salem, Wisconsin. Just kind of, I'll say beating a dead horse with these two, but the Salem Hills subdivision that they're going to put the private road on and go all that route. Private roads are a pain in the rear in this village. There's one in my subdivision and those people hate it. They've had a homeowners association the whole time in the condos. So, but they never had a road and now it's falling apart and they want to get the village to help come take in and take it over, but it's probably not ever going to happen. So, just that whole thing of putting the private road, I think is going to be a disaster waiting to happen down the road. The other one would be I think it's the Brenner Fields or Farm subdivision, whichever one that is. I might not even have the right name, but I think it would behoove the village to have sidewalks, curbs, gutters. Probably not going to get street lights out of it, and because some people might not even want them. But people who are going to be moving into there they're not buying starter homes there. They're not cheap, and by the time it all gets done and built, it could be up to 20 years down the road, and the roads are going to be shot by then and they're going to have to get replaced again. So maybe trying to get a little bit more out of the developer, which is the same developer up in Salem Hills too. I know they want to keep their costs down as much as possible. I'm looking at saying, hey, can we get a little more out of them? Whether it's the percentage or, more amenities, I'll call them, like the sidewalks and stuff, because it's just, you can't have all those people driving around. They're going to be in that area without sidewalks. It's just not safe. So my thought.
Thank you. Okay. Wes Jacobs, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Evening. My name is Wes Jacobs. I live at 11820 242nd Avenue, Treator, Wisconsin, Hickory Hollow. A little bit about myself, if you didn't know. Air Force retired, 25 years in it. Safety was a paramount thing in the military, whether you're a cook or working on military aircraft or whatever. And one of my particular areas was skydiving, parachute instructor at the Air Force Academy in Colorado. Safety was paramount and looked at everything all the time. So in regards to that, I want to address a pressing issue of public safety and visibility of runners or walkers on our roadways by vehicle drivers. With our community's mix of rural stretches, neighborhood roads, and limited street lighting, sidewalks, winters, rain, misty or foggy weather, and early morning or late afternoon shadows, and those mornings or evenings with the sun in your eyes, the risk of runners, walkers is real and very preventable. Runners and walkers share the road with vehicles, and I've seen runners and walkers in all the situations. Without reflective vests and or lights, they are often invisible to the driver until it's too late. Glare from oncoming vehicle lights also add to the not seeing of an individual in dark clothing. This lack of visibility has led to tragic accidents across our country, and Salem Lakes and the surrounding area are not immune. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has shown reflective gear can reduce pedestrian fatalities by nearly half. Research from the University of Iowa found that drivers detected pedestrians in reflective gear 3 times faster than in dark clothing. Virginia law requires pedestrians on highways to wear reflective material visible up to 500 feet. If this comes to pass in the village, it will enhance safety for the runners, walkers, and drivers, and align with Salem Lakes to broaden public safety initiatives. By adopting this ordinance, if it does happen, Salem Lakes can lead Wisconsin in a proactive roadway safety. We can protect lives and set an example for other municipalities. Can you see me? This is what I want to see out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We'll go into president's comments. So I want to say again, we are seeking applications for all board and commission appointments with terms ending in April of 2026. Applications are due March 13th with appointments made on April 21st. If anyone is interested, please see our clerk or our website for the application. If anyone is up for reappointment and they would like to be considered for reappointment, they will also need to sign an application. Second, I would like to take a few moments to recognize our fire department. So on last Thursday, January 15th, there was an Amazon driver who, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, right? Who smelled smoke or heard alarms at a residence where they were making a delivery and called in to the fire department. So I want to take this time, and Angela, I left some things there if you could sign those. For the village board to formally recognize and commend Fire Chief Alan Carr and the members of the Salem Lakes Fire Rescue Department for their exceptional bravery, professionalism, and decisive action demonstrated during the recent challenging fire incident that occurred on Rock Lake Road on January 15th. Faced with hazardous conditions and significant risk, these firefighters acted swiftly and selflessly to protect lives, property, and the safety of our community. Upon entering the structure, they were confronted with an unexpected and life-threatening emergency when one of their own fell through the floor, creating an immediate and critical rescue situation. Without hesitation, they responded swiftly, calmly, and in full accordance with their training, placing themselves at great personal risk to rescue and protect their fellow firefighters. Their actions under intense pressure exemplify courage, teamwork, and an unwavering commitment to one another and to the principles and high standards of the fire service, and reflect great credit upon themselves and the village as a whole. The village board extends our sincere gratitude and appreciation for your outstanding service and unwavering dedication. Chief, would you like to add any? I know it's during president's comments and I hope it's okay, Rumsey, but I just want to let you.
For the opportunity to speak. And on behalf of our department, thank you so much for the recognition. Thursday, January 15th was a surreal moment for our department. We train for emergencies of all kind. We serve in many different ways, from vehicle accidents to home calls to fire calls. This particular incident was like something we've never experienced before, and quite frankly, many folks don't have this opportunity. What you see tonight here is a representation of the people that serve this community with honor and integrity and raw courage. What we experienced within 6 minutes of my arrival, stretching to the front door, we encountered a circumstance that challenged us all. We call it a mayday, when one of our fellow firefighters fell through the floor. Without hesitation, without reserve, without question, our members came to that firefighter's aid. On that initial TAC team, Brian Nielsen and Talon Grabowski, 19-year-old kid on his very first fire, put themselves in harm's way without regard to their personal safety and without regard to anything else that may occur or happen to them. They put themselves in harm's way, supported by the rest of our team, and brought our firefighter out. I am deeply humbled and honored to serve with and for these people. They absolutely deserve the recognition. And these are the folks that serve this community. They do it selflessly, and they do it with courage and tenacity. They deserve all the recognition they're getting tonight and then some. Because of their actions, because of their skill and their courage, one of ours is here today still to enjoy his family and to enjoy life as we have it now. A fraction of an inch, a change in circumstances, and we would be planning something that none of us want to deal with. So I'm beyond words of recognition, appreciation for the crew that we have. And I want to say something that's important to understand. We arrived with an engine company, an ambulance, and a chief's car. 4 members, 2 of which went into that structure. And we faced something that nobody should have to face alone. We're understaffed. We need more. I'm coming back to you next year, and we're going to have this discussion again. And not because we're looking to disrespect the taxpayer. It's not because we want more for the wrong reasons, but we attacked that fire and put ourselves in harm's way with 4 firefighters. Once the event grew, we had more support from our neighboring communities who were exemplary in their performance, but I'm coming back to ask for more because we simply don't have enough to do the job. And we believe in our community, and we believe in the service that we do. So thank you so much for the recognition tonight. Our staff that's here, I'm so proud of you all.
Yeah, I'm going to ask if you can all stand, please.
And I want to thank you again on behalf of the department. And as always, I thank you for the continued support.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you all again, and you are all heroes. And we are very grateful to have you and to be able to say today that this was, you know, not a catastrophic event, which shows that the training and the dedication, that's something that I don't think I would personally be up for myself. And so, sincerest gratitude to you all. Okay. With that, we will go into number 8, trustee comments, reports, and requests. 8.1, public safety liaison update, trustee Hopkins.
Good evening. With the Kenosha County Sheriff's Department for the month of December, we had a total of 482 calls. Year to date, we're sitting at 5,350
Year to
year to date.
last year. Oh,
Last
last
year.
year.
We had 12 arrests for a total of 275 for the year of 2025. We had 23 charges for a total of 493 charges, and citations were 40 for a grand total of 658 citations in the year 2025. From a EMS and fire perspective, we had a total of 174 calls in the month of December, and it's broken out as follows. To the town of Brighton, we had 5 calls, 2 fire, 2 EMS, and 1 unintentional transmission of an alarm. Paddock Lake, we had a total of 47 calls. They break out as 2 fire, 40 EMS, 1 gasoline, other flammable liquid spill, and 2 assist that were invalid. For Salem Lakes, we're looking at a total of 107 calls. They break out as 1 fire, 93 EMS, 5 for hazardous conditions, 1 service call for an elevator, 1 for a good intent call, and then 6 for false alarm, false calls, for a total of, like I said, the 107. And what we also had that we don't typically get as many, we had out of district, and those could be to Twin Lakes, they could be to Randall, they could also be to Antioch, Illinois. So we had a total of 15 out of district calls, 4 for fires, 6 for EMS, 2 for coverage assignments, standby move ups, 2 that were canceled en route, and 1 that was a false alarm.
Thank you. 8.2 Southeastern Wisconsin Fox River Commission update.
So we met on Friday, this past Friday in Big Bend. And some of the items that we discussed were the Fox River Summit for 2026 to be held in Burlington at Veterans Terrace. And Dennis, I'll get you more information. We talked about the sewer pack survey from the Waterford Dam down to the Illinois border, the Vernon Wildlife Area restoration. We talked about a flow gauge being installed on the Fox River for Racine County. We also talked about creating a new natural resources conservation service / regional conservation partnership program, RCPP. And there's grant money and such that are associated with those. And we also talked about the update to the Fox River Commission implementation plan. And that's it.
Okay. 8.3 Lake District updates, Silver Lake Management District, trustee Gant.
I have there is, they moved the April 30th meeting to the community library down the street. There, everything else was booked up, so that's all I got.
Okay. We will go into the Volts Lake and Camp and Center Lake Management Districts.
Wolf Lake had their first quarterly meeting. You have to have 4 meetings a year minimum when you're a Lake District. They have the first quarterly meeting on January 8th, and one of the discussion items was about developing a little boat landing and a parking spot for a couple of vehicles. Wolf Lake is a 64-acre lake, and when you apply for a grant, it's scored, and you get extra points if you have a boat landing and a couple of parking spots, and you need 1 for every 30 acres of lake. So they only need 3, and they'd qualify in a better standing for getting grants. They have applied for a grant to redo their aquatic plant management plan. Camp and Center Lake is having their first quarter meeting on February 19th. And I don't have anything to report there. I do want to mention though, on February 28th, where the village is having a village lake,
Lake Forum.
yes, forum, sorry. And the 4 lake districts are being invited, and also a couple of people from Sewer Pack, and also 2 people from the DNR, one who's in charge of the permits that allow the districts to do things with their lakes to get rid of invasive species. And the other person from the DNR is the Southeastern Wisconsin grant person. So they will explain grants that be available. And that'll be on February 28th, 9 o'clock right here. The public's also invited, but it's a forum for the districts to discuss things that are currently troubling their lake with invasive species, and some things that are moving into the area and ways to combat it. That's it.
Okay,
Thank
all right. 8.4 EDC update, trustee Polly. Can you turn your mic on?
I have a couple different things here. One is I received an email from Jeff Albright and Ross Schwartz regarding that they had a meeting with the new administrator, Michael, and Chief Carr to discuss and outline the next steps for the Emergency Services Consortium. They felt it was a very good meeting, and they feel that they're building trust with administration as we move forward with this. And that it'll take time, and they're wanting to make small and sure steps as they move along. So that's they're working on the potential for the possibility of a EMS type consortium. Then separately from that, at the EDC, we worked the last meeting we had. We started the process of looking through the permits procedures and see where we can find potential areas to make permit acquisition maybe easier or less cumbersome, or what improvements can be made for the user experience. So work will continue on that. And then separately, as you'll hear later, also some work continues related to the road consortium.
Okay. 8.5 library board update, trustee Barheit.
Nothing new to report.
Okay. 8.6 future agenda requests. These are requests only, not discussion.
Madam President, I'd like to ask that we put on the agenda. And this is in respect to open record requests. To take a look at our current policy as it applies to state law, and see if we can't update ours a little bit more, such that when individuals such as Mr. Dunn and Mr. Miller start asking for days worth of work, copies going back 3 years in some cases, that those charges will be paid for in advance before the documents are even sent to legal.
Okay.
I have the comments that were made by Mr. Jacobs. I think I'd like to consider talking about reflective gear or wear clothing, and see what that ordinance, if that's something there could be developed. I was coming to one of our meetings a couple months ago, and there was a bicyclist by the Salvation Army with dark clothes on. It was dark at that time, and all of a sudden there he was. He had no reflective clothing on whatsoever. I almost ran into him. I think it's a great idea.
Okay. I will put that on an agenda, if the agenda list, if both of you want to work on getting some information on that.
Sure.
Okay. Are there any others? Okay. We'll go into administration. Number 9, discussion and possible action on the following. 9.1, Regional Road and Public Works Consortium. So this is where I'm going to invite our administrator to talk about the meeting that you attended. And I know we have a PowerPoint, and then Pete's going to lead that.
Thank you. We attended a consortium, as most of you were, on the 12th. Fairly well attended by the municipalities around the area. Very early first stages conversations, but promising stuff coming out. I think anytime we can look to working together with other municipalities, bring down costs, which was the high point of the conversation, and you'll get more into it with the PowerPoint. I think it's always worth talking about, the same as the EMS conversation and everything else we're doing here. As with anything, we need more, as much due diligence as we can when entering this, but I think that's the point of these early talks. So I'm excited by this, and I think the more we work through it, we'll get a better understanding of what everything entails.
Okay, great. Brian, can you put the PowerPoint up? And then Pete, you can kind of talk through this.
Absolutely.
Let them know when to change the.
All right, will do. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, EDC has been working on the Road and Public Works Consortium. And so as an introduction, you could say to the concept, this is kind of like a 10,000-foot overview. What can we do? What's it about? And it's about communities working together, like our administrator just said. And in that, you could think of like we're buying in bulk, right? And what happens when you buy in bulk? Lower costs, realize more benefits, improve cross-community relations, and expand offerings. Brian, if you can go to the next slide, please. So what is a consortium? As I alluded to a little bit earlier, communities working together. By communities, surrounding communities. It could be Union Grove, it could be Twin Lakes, but right now nothing's actually created. It's all discussion on creation and what does that look like. So communities working together to share services, equipment, and knowledge, joint bidding and coordination of schedules on projects for improved efficiency and better pricing through economy of scale. Next slide, please, Brian. So why does it matter now? Well, as we all know, costs are rising rapidly, whether that's privately in our homes, and costs are rising for private construction firms, businesses, as well as municipalities across the country. And so with rapid rising costs, any way we can possibly try to work together with our community to save money is definitely something that we should be taking a close look at. Budgets are tight in every community. Collaboration reduces waste and saves money, and better results for residents. Next slide, please, Brian. All right, how do we currently work? So each community works independently, not realizing saving. So currently, I guess we back up. So currently, this is how we do things. We're all standalone communities doing our own projects, right? Which means each community works independently, not realizing savings due to scale. Small projects cost more per mile, and duplicate equipment, staff time, public works crews, paperwork, engineering. All these things are duplicated and repeated over and over again in all communities. Next slide, please. And why the innovation grant matters. The Regional Road and Public Works Consortium. So the innovation grant advantages. So the advantage to, maybe we move forward with this, maybe we don't, that remains to be seen. But the Wisconsin Innovation Grant offers money to communities for consolidating services, sparks bold ideas with real potential, no local tax match required, and multi-year state support for shared services equal savings. So sometimes in some grants, there's like a tax match, and this particular type of grant doesn't have a tax match. It goes off of your previous year's expenditures and a percentage thereof, and then that same amount that's originally approved then continues for the next, I believe it's a 5-year period. And then that money is to be used for all things related to the application, and in our case, roads and maintenance, what we're working on. Okay, what does this mean for Salem Lakes? Like we talked about earlier, lower cost for shared services equals better use of tax dollars, stronger partnerships with neighboring communities and vendors, and a smarter, more efficient way to serve residents. And then what comes next? So potentially, if the board sees value in this concept, then Salem Lakes would join the consortium, then submit as a group, we would submit the innovation grant plan, project planning with participating communities, and then joint rollout begins, enhancing services together. And then questions, I would say, to the board, right?
So I don't know if Brian has anything to add, because you've been working on this too, high level, because there's board members here who don't know much about this. And I know that we will be talking about this at our next EDC meeting for the EDC to make the official recommendation to the village board. And then at that meeting will be much more detail given. This is just kind of an introductory to get you thinking about it, and that if you have any questions, you can send them to you know,
Myself
To-
and Brian, and we can.
well, I would send them to Sarah, and Sarah can send them to Brian and Pete, and then that way they can be addressed at our next meeting. So maybe if we have questions, you guys can do kind of a question and answer sort of thing. So go ahead.
I'd like to make a comment just before you start, if you don't mind. I went to the meeting and I was very impressed with the amount of municipalities that were there. The town of Lynn, that's by Lake Geneva, the town of Lyons, Union Grove, naturally Randall, Twin Lakes, Salem, Paddock Lake. And there was just a high rate of interest by everyone in this first introduction. I was really impressed with the amount of municipalities that are looking at combining and joining the consortium, or considering it anyways.
And one thing I should jump in here with before Brian gets started is there's kind of like two components here in regards to like a timeline. So to be able to submit for this grant that would reflect off of the numbers that we spent last year, there's a deadline coming up. We have a little bit of time, but it would be like next month that we'd be saying, hey, we want to be part of the consortium. And so we can submit and then use our documentation for our expenditures to go after those funds. But then separately, whether that were to happen or not, it's still a great idea to try and work with communities. So there's this little time crunch we're coming up against if we want to try and jump. To just something to put out there. Thank you, Brian.
So I just want to add that I think a lot of people think this consortium is about changing people or structure within the village, and it's really not. What the ultimate goal is to create best way to explain is an island where all of our road projects will go to under our direction. And that island will be controlled. They'll have engineers, there'll be some legal involved, there'll be administrative. And we're going to do that all in one location instead of, if there's 10 municipalities involved, instead of 10. So we're going to reduce our costs by having kind of a one location that this work gets done. The village will not enter in any contracts that they don't want to. They will decide each year which projects that they have interest in. Obviously, with the innovation grant, it's a little bit different. So you can still be part of the consortium and not the innovation grant. It is in Salem's best interest to be part of the innovation grant, because when we transfer that service, we do a look back and we look at all the different things within the village. It could be roads, we could look at cammering, we could look at lining, we could look at, seal coating, cracking, all that stuff, and look at what our look back cost was. And that cost, we would submit part of the innovation grant. That costs 25% of that, if it's approved, we would get each and every year for 5 years. There is one little catch though. We cannot exceed 115% of our total yearly look back cost. So it's not a real big deal, because the consortium will be set up in a way that we'll still be able to utilize the consortium. It's just that we'll be limited on the innovation grant to 115%. And the whole concept behind that is they want you to save money. The whole idea of the innovation grant is to get communities to work together to reduce costs, because we all know that tax levies do not increase enough to keep up with the cost of everything. And the goal here is try to save 10, 15, 20% on different facets of what we do, whether it's road construction, whether it's crack filling, whether it's maybe getting involved in lining or getting involved in cammering. The communities can work together to lower that cost. And we can use this in a lot of different directions, but right now this is our focus. So that's kind of a brief 10,000 foot overview. A lot of time has gone into this, hundreds of hours of time digging into how this might be able to be structured, looking at the East Coast, looking at communities in Illinois that have similar, but a little bit different, but they have shown time and time again, it saves dollars. So if there's any questions, I'm sure Pete and I can,
So it's not to replace our staff.
no.
It's-
If anything, it will free up our staff because there'll be activities that the consortium will do that our staff won't have to be directly involved. They'll still be indirectly involved, just not directly, because we do need to transfer that service. And after 5 years, then we can decide. Maybe we decide that, we don't like having this consortium structured this way. We want to change it so that the input is different, and we can do that. And the nice thing about the consortium too, we get to create our own standards, our own rules. We're not going to be governed by the state. We get to get together. There'll be a board from each community. There'll be a member, and we get to decide. And any vote requires a 3/4 majority vote. So it's really there's some control measures that will make it so it's fair for everybody. And I think long term, the hope is that it will save us money.
I think too, just to jump in there, you said 5 years, but I think one of the discussions when we were going over some concepts is that there be some kind of a notification if a community wanted to, before the 5 years was up, get out of it, that we would be looking to work something like that in there potentially, that they, with a certain amount of written notice, that a community could say, this isn't working, we'd like to pull out of it. And then maybe you go 2 years down the road and say, hey, we think we went back in. Like that's not going to be an exclusive club as per se.
There's a termination clause. There has to be. There has to be an exit in the event that it's not working at all.
So like I said, this will be on the next EDC agenda for February 3rd. I assume at that meeting that it will be recommended to go to the village board. And at that time, the village board can discuss this in a lot more depth, and we can review things with Mike and Ramsey as far as legalities and how to move forward with that if we so choose to, because we still have to have a lot of legal review on the contract and the intergovernmental agreement, and just, basically making sure that we are covered legally here.
There's a time crunch, unfortunately, like with them.
Yes,
And-
so, but we'll talk about that more in depth at the next meeting. We just, Pete and Brian wanted to put this out here just to give kind of get your, thinking about it and just so that way at the next meeting, we can go into it a little bit more. So, okay. All right, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
9.2, contract with Innovative Public Advisors to serve as TID and TIF advisors. So, Mike, do you want to talk about this, or Sarah? One of you?
As you know, this is my second meeting, so you guys are well on the way to this whole TID discussion and decision-making process. Jay, who would serve as the interim, had a lot more experience in this. We had briefly talked about this at the previous meeting and also in my my first week. I think just where you guys are at in the scope of this project, it would make sense to enter into this contract with
Okay.
for services.
Anyone on the board have any questions?
I do. I think it might be hard to answer this question, but when I read through the contract, it has hourly rate or rates for travel and for time spent. But do we have like an estimated expenditure that we might spend on this? And I know it's hard to say how many meetings will
we
be, that
don't.
sort of thing.
We don't, and we would only use him just for that, portion of it. So I think the next step is to see what Bear comes back with. And then, then Jay would review that with Ellers. And then he would, either probably Teams meeting, be part of our meetings via Teams and just kind of walk us through that and help guide us along, just,
Okay.
So I don't think it'll be a huge expense. But it is something that we definitely need, because none of us really know the ins and outs of that. And we want to make sure that if we want to make sure we have all of the information that we can in order to make a decision. And if we were going to move forward, I want to make sure that we are as educated as, and that Salem Lakes isn't giving up more than we should. So,
Madam Chair.
I totally agree. We do have a TIF currently, but it's entirely different than this one.
right.
On the TIF that we have, we as the town of Salem, put in all the infrastructure. And then fortunately, the projection is it'll pay for itself 5 years early, but we're the ones that are on the hook. Now, this TIF is entirely different where the developer will be getting the tax revenue to pay back his infrastructure. And that Jay is very familiar with that. And conversations I've had with him, I'm totally in favor of going for this.
Madam Chair, I want to try and put this in perspective for you.
Mhm.
The worst people are going to get hurt are the taxpayers and the schools.
Mhm.
All right. Do you realize in the first 7 years, any children come out of there, their entire education will not have any of that tax money?
Yeah. So it's not just a village board decision because there is a joint review board and the schools are part of that. And so they actually have to give
I
permission.
understand it, but that's
To move forward
18
too.
years.
Yeah.
And their entire education will be funded by us because we have to make up the difference. Your funding for a school is roughly 230. Yes, it is 230, 2/3 and 1/3 is school funding. 2/3 come from the state. Approximately every school has a little difference, but it's generally that. And that third has to be made up by the taxpayers. All of us.
Well, we're not making the decision tonight on the to go forward with that. We're only making the decision to hire Jay to help guide us along. And then those will be things that we can discuss, when it comes back before the board. But I
Now-
don't,
Is Mills going to reimburse us for this? Is Mills going to reimburse us for this?
I don't know that answer. I don't know what the developer's
So
agreement
we're going
would
to be
be
taking
and,
our money out for this with no reimbursement guarantee?
we can either do that or we can proceed, by the seat of our pants. I mean, I don't know what else to say. We hire out, an attorney for legal advice, like, I don't know what to say, Billy. I mean,
I'll make a motion to contract with Innovative Public Advisors to serve as our advisors.
I'll second.
I just-
go ahead.
I just had,
Trustee Brooks, if you would, I'd like to ask you to amend that to not to exceed $5,000.
Okay, I motion to contract with Innovative Public Advisors to serve as the TIF advisors, not to exceed 5,000.
And I'll second.
and the only other additional, question I have, and I think I know the answer, but we have it in our agenda written as contract, with advisors to serve as advisors. Is it, fair or correct to view them as, consultants to help us through this process also?
Yeah, that's,
I'd just like to interject something here. The way a TIF works is tax incremental financing. The taxes that come in from the real estate assessed value go to pay off this infrastructure. And the school has the option to either opt in or opt out. And in this particular case, it'd be Central High School. And I understand that they have said, and Salem Grade School, that they will participate in the TIF for Paddock Lake. Now, as far as paying extra tax money, they get money from the state for the children that go to school, and the school sets their budget. So the tax, if there's an additional tax, it's in the school's budget, not in our budget.
May I also add that my understanding was I think it's the but-for clause. right?
Correct, but
Those
for.
children that would be in that community wouldn't be there, but for the community. So the schools are getting additional kids participating, additional money from the state. where they would not have
Yeah.
had if we did not build this community.
Right. So I think these are all things that we need to take and not talk about right now
Okay.
because it's getting off topic. So we have a first and a second to contract with IPA for no more than $5,000. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Okay. 9.3, letter of support for the Kenosha Area Business Alliance's Talent Recruitment Grant application, requesting up to $300,000 from the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. Either Mike or Sarah, if you want to talk to what
Yeah.
this is.
Basically exactly what it sounds like, a letter of support. They sent them out to all area municipalities to expand their Kenosha Area Business Alliance recruitment grant. They can receive up to $300,000 from the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation for the 2026 fiscal year. And Salem Lakes was one of the larger communities they wanted a letter of support from.
Okay. So it says here that their plan is to attract 16 new out-of-state households to Kenosha County to help with the labor force.
Like to interject something here.
Yep.
The Kenosha Area Business Alliance was our partner in our TIF, in our business park. And there's no one better to get grants, to get things from the state government and federal government. And they secured the tenants that we currently have there and just excellent to work
Yeah.
with.
Okay.
May I ask a question? Just clarification. Is this one of those things you see online, Wisconsin is paying, or Kenosha County is paying people to move here then? Like, I think there are several states doing that.
Does anybody know that answer? I don't know. the
I
answer.
don't have any additional information. They sent this letter with this request for the board.
I mean, that's what it sounds, that's what it reads like, because I know what Alabama is doing this right now, there's Missouri, there's several states, Arkansas is paying families to move there, so. It sounds like that's what this is.
I believe, and the resources of recruiting, right?
Oh.
Videos, come to our area,
Okay, so they're not
podcast.
paying families, it's just for recruiting.
I can't say no to that comment, but I know it's for all of the recruiting services that can be done to bring people to the area.
Fascinating, thanks.
And so the only thing that I have here is that make sure there's no confusion in the community. It's more of a clarification question, but first question is, when the community received the agenda, this is something that they all have that's attached to that email, right, Sarah? This particular letter, I think it's
Yeah.
I think it was
It's in the packet.
Yeah.
It's online.
online.
The email is a link to the agendas. If they want full packets, those are available online.
Thank you. And so it's, to me, when I see it, it's that, like Michael put it, they're asking for our support. And so we would send this letter of support, but then there's a second component to it that talks about how there's a total of $500,000 annually through this grant. And it's within a community, and 300,000 for this time period will be allotted to this project, and only 200,000 left over. And we're acknowledging that, but to the best of my knowledge, we're not currently actively going after any amount of money from that grant. So
We are not. No, it is definitely CABA. So it provides funding to support marketing, relocation incentives, talent attraction, to targeted areas with the goal of expanding the labor force, increasing household income, and generating broader economic impact through increased consumer spending and tax-based growth. So, they're just this is just a letter of support for them to send on with their grant application. So it's
That's
not
unusual.
money that we're going to be getting,
That's not
right?
unusual. For lake grants, we do the same thing. We ask the local municipality to give us a letter of support going
Right.
after the grant. And
Yep.
that's what this is.
Yep. Okay, so I will make a motion to extend the letter of support to CABA.
I'll second.
Who'd you get, Sarah?
A tie.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. All right, we'll move on to number 10, the clerk's office. Discussion and possible action on the following. 10.1, approval of minutes from the village board meeting held on January 6th, 2026.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, before I read the next one, I'll ask that nobody make any motions, please, as there's more context to this. 10.2, approval of applications filed with the clerk for retail licenses to sell fermented malt beverages and intoxicating liquors in accordance with the provisions of chapter 125.04 of the Wisconsin State Statutes and the following with approval contingent on background clearance check, completion of beverage server class and payment of the necessary fees. We're going to do this in two parts. So the first one would be the Class B beer and liquor, Class B liquor for Enders Marketing Solutions, Tavern Team, and then also for Carrie Varensky with Liberty Corners Tap. So Sarah, these are the two for the liquor license. And I understand we only have one liquor license available. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Both applicants are here.
Okay.
As well.
And so the reason, tonight you need the village board to choose. Am I correct in that?
Correct.
Okay. Okay,
So if we want to go through, we can discuss both of the applications.
yes, let's do that.
So the first applicant, Enders Marketing, is a third-party business that would be located inside of House on a Hill.
Okay.
House on a Hill is a current event venue located in Wilmot and has been operating for some time and is currently has open doors. With the changes of some of the policies within the state regarding alcohol and event venues, it has been encouraged that if they would like to have alcohol at these types of venues for weddings or whatnot, to obtain a license from the municipality.
Okay.
So this applicant here is looking to have and hold the combo license within House on a Hill so that they can provide beverage service to their clients.
Okay.
The second application is to a potential pool hall / tavern located at the intersection just south of here. The name of the establishment would be Liberty Corners, owned by Carrie Varensky, who is the applicant herself as a sole proprietor. This organization has yet to receive occupancy and does have some hoops that still need to be jumped through in order to open.
Besides occupancy, what are those?
So a certificate of occupancy is what an establishment would get from building and zoning in order to open their doors.
So have they had any fire inspections or anything?
Yep, so the occupancy would come with fire inspection, zoning, building
But
inspections.
There has been no fire inspection yet?
Not that
Right?
I am
No
aware.
final, okay. Okay, do you have anything else?
No.
Can I ask what the dates of applications were?
House on a Hill started their application process at the end of November, and I received the application from the potential tavern on December 5th.
Okay. And how about the other one?
Stage Stop?
No. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Did you just give me both of them?
Yep.
So Tavern Team was the November and the other one was December?
Correct.
And do you know if we have any other licenses coming up? They go through when? July, right?
Yep. Licenses are from July 1 through June 30th.
Okay.
Over
And do you know if
at-
we're gonna have any open in July?
No. As of right
You don't
now,
know that we will, or you
Mm-mm.
don't think we will?
I don't know
Okay,
if we will.
okay. And we can't, how does the licensing work as far as the number of licenses that we are allowed to have or
So
give
the
out.
Tavern League back in 1997 came up with rules in which a municipality would cap their licensing
And is that based on,
based on population and the number of applications or licenses that you currently had at that time. And then from that point on, that was the number you had, plus anything that would be non-issued that you still could have had. Those were called reserve licenses. We and the Village of Silver Lake did not qualify for reserve licenses because we had already issued all of the license we were currently allowed to issue at that point of time. So we do not have the $10,000 reserve licenses here in Salem Lakes.
okay. And then the only way that a license becomes available is if a business closes, is that,
At that
And-
point, yes.
okay.
What are the population qualifications? I mean, since 1997 to today, maybe
Mhm.
we increased our population enough to issue another license, no?
How many licenses do we have out there?
I don't know. I'd have to go look. In order to increase our number for a qualified reserve license, you have to increase your population by 500 residents.
By how much?
500
People.
people.
That's it?
So do you know when we last
Since 97.
I do
submitted our
not.
population to them to have them review it, or?
It has to be reviewed by the clerk in the municipality. And that feat is quite a feat. And I don't know the last time or if it has been done.
Okay.
And I can't promise that we'll have one. So that shouldn't sway your decision. this
I
evening. Yeah.
understand, but I think that that's something that we need to put on our to-do
You-
list for
You
sure.
can also purchase licenses from other municipalities within your county, starting at a minimum of the $10,000.
And if
So
that passed on to the,
to the
holder?
applicant in
Yeah.
most instances, yes. So above the license you have before you tonight will be the regular couple $100 license. Anything acquired due to increase in population or that we would go and vet for potential future development would be at a cost of $10,000 minimum for the applicant.
okay.
Does that also apply to if, when we get to the population counting?
Yep.
So anyone that gets added just because of the 500 more automatically has to cost $10,000?
It's the $10,000 one. Mhm.
And that's a one-time fee and then annually it drops down?
Correct. But that is for the location. Those are not transferable. So if you open a business, and you want to move into a shinier building down the road, you have to pay the $10,000 again. As where a
Wow.
regular license can move within the municipality.
And it's important to note that this isn't our ordinance.
Nope.
This is state statute or
Correct. Mhm.
Now, is there any, since that would be more like the first one, temporary or part-time thing? Cause they're not going to be open every day of the week, right? It's just per,
They can have
Per
events
event?
any day of the week. That's up to the owner.
I mean, there's not, cause it wouldn't be a, you know what I mean? It wouldn't be a regular, or are they all the same? Just a
They're all the
regular
same.
tavern?
Mhm.
And didn't House on the Hill have a previous license before?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Right now, they operate by people who rent the facility, bring in their own liquor, which is a headache, right? So in order to better serve their clients, they're going to provide that service or hope to provide the service.
Is it possible to get a, just trying to think
No,
around the box?
no. It's in an envelope. It is what it is. We can't change it unless they'd like to apply for a different type of license.
But I mean, could it do a, per event?
No. Not for liquor. This is the only way you can do liquor.
Hmm.
They can apply for a beer license, but
Yeah.
because you can give out as many as you want of those
For beer?
per beer.
Mhm.
One of them will have to come back in July to try again, but there may not be any.
I
not
won't
be-
have a license available. that I
Unless
know
someone
of.
goes out of business.
But
Right.
how's that beer only one work? Still have to have a license through us for just
Yep.
beer?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that is available?
Yes.
So I feel like the only fair way to do it is to, by who applied first. That's the only fair way to do it. And unfortunately, the second one doesn't even have occupancy or past inspections, and the first one is already in business.
One's a local, one's out of area.
No, they're both here. They're one's
Yeah,
in Wilmot.
it's here, but they're,
Yeah, but you can't look at it that way. I mean, I don't think that's a fair way to do it. We have other establishments here that are owned by people that are outside of our community, but the establishment is in our community.
Would it be worth considering to potentially table this particular decision? Give us a little bit more time to look into this. Not that there's necessarily anything additional to find, but we have one establishment that will have however many events they choose to, but it'd be unlikely that it would be a daily item as if the tavern would be open. But we don't know. Maybe this could go in front of
But
the EDC.
I don't think that that's a fair thing to do.
I would
We just
also-
gave the fair a license, and they're not year round right now either, so you can't really do that.
Well, I guess-
In my opinion, I don't think that that's a fair
Also,
way to look at it.
Also, with the new rules within the state, the event venue space cannot allow carry-in anymore. They would have to have all of their events without alcohol. So that is why they are here asking for this, because now the state wants to regulate it more and they cannot allow their customers to do that.
it's my understanding that the Enders Marketing Solutions LLC, when I was in talking to you yesterday, Sarah, there's a second option or the reason why they're doing this is because they live out, but if they lived in, there'd be another way to get a license.
The
Like-
agent has to live here.
The agent has to live here.
Yeah. And you can pick anyone to be your agent. It doesn't have to be an employee or it doesn't have to be anyone. It just has to be the person who's going to be responsible for the sale and consumption of alcohol. So if it hits the fan, that's the person that's going to be in charge and responsible.
it's not usually an owner or an agent running the bar.
Not, it doesn't have to be. I've had it just be a waitress because owners live in Illinois. That's basically being in this area. It's because people live in Illinois and they have a business in Wisconsin is the biggest hiccup because we're so close to the border, but it can be anybody. It could be your neighbor. It just has to be someone who would be responsible for the consumption and sale of alcohol.
Well, and just fall back where I was kind of heading earlier. Like we talk about when going to change zoning or do something like that, it goes through planning. This is in one form or another has an economic impact on the community. Would it be wise to give some consideration to sending this to the Economic Development Committee for consideration and then recommendation? Of course, the board could choose other recommendation,
It's a
but
board decision.
I think this is no, I think this is cut and dry.
I also want to touch base on House on a Hill is where this is going to be and does affect her business. But the applicant is Tavern Team. They're the ones who are going to benefit from the sale and the consumption of the alcohol. They're the ones taking the legal responsibility for the sale of the alcohol. So that business that we would be giving the license to, the owner lives in Wisconsin.
I think all that aside, if you just look at the facts, okay? We have one that applied in November and one in December. One who is a current operating business, one who doesn't even have occupancy. For me, it's cut and dry. I make a motion to approve the liquor license for Enders Marketing Solution. And we can still have Liberty Corners get a beer license. And then if something, I would like to take a look at our population to see what we can do about trying to open it up more. I don't think there's any other fair way to do this.
We knew that we only had one license available. in November, we probably would have told the second person that there's none available right now.
Well, I told them there was one license, but it is not my decision on who to grant it to. That's yours. That is why you have both applications.
But I think the date is a determining factor here.
Well, the date occupancy, you know,
Does the first one have any strikes against it at their other places?
None of our establishments have marks.
I mean, this one here didn't have.
None
any
of
mark.
them do. The problem with our current ordinance is that the citations have to be written for the business, and most of our citations are written to the individual who commits whatever you're speaking of. So we have
Who
no
was in
marks.
charge of the bar at that time?
We have no marks.
okay. All right, we have a first and a second, to, approve the license for Enders Marketing Solutions. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. All right, and then we have approval of application for Wilmot Stage Stop Supper Club for an agent change only. Who got that, Sarah?
Faber Gant.
And so this is an agent change only. They have a current liquor license. The liquor license stays with the establishment, but they are allowed to change their agent. Am I correct? At any time?
Correct. Like I said, they had a change in management
Okay.
staff.
And
new-
I assume background check was done, yes?
Yep. No, nothing. Clean.
Oh, I thought you meant, no, nothing, you didn't do it. All right, all right. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. Number 11, Public Works, discussion and possible action on the following items. 11.1, acceptance of WISTOT 2026 through 2031 Surface Transportation Program, STP, rural and urban grants in the approximate amount of $1.5 million.
Last year, we applied for STP surface transportation grants and we got, well, Kenosha County, we applied with WISTOT. Kenosha County also applied. And then Kenosha County was awarded $1.53 million for this grant. It's supposed to be an 80-20 split. The only applicants were Salem Lakes and Kenosha County themselves. Kenosha County is pulling out because their project is $8 million. And 1.53 does not cover the 80% of an $8 million project. So they elected not to do that project. Our two projects are 264th Avenue and 224th Avenue. They're not our worst roads, but the roads have to meet certain criteria. They have to be a minor collector, a collector, or a major collector street. These two roads meet that criteria. Any questions? This is not an agreement. This is just us telling them that, yes, we want to pursue it. If we move forward, they will draft a SMA, a state municipal agreement, and that will be considered by the board at that time.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
So I have a question for you, Brad. And I'm sorry, because I can't find the information off the top, really quickly. So our projects for this grant equal how much?
$2,014,074. That's
2 million?
That's design and construction. Yes.
Okay. So it.
And
exceeds-
because this is a federal project, we have a lot of extra contingencies built in
Okay.
because of federal requirements. It's federal money that the state's distributing to
And
us.
so it exceeds this grant amount, right?
Yes, it
For those
does.
projects. Okay.
So the cost share would be federal funding, $1,531,950.50. Local funding, $482,123.50. And that's because the max was for the entire county was 1.5 million. So when you do the math, it's more closer to a 70-30 split. But it is money that we can get for paving these roads that will just go away if we don't accept it.
And Brad, when does this, when can we start? Is there an end date to this or?
This is a 5-year program, so it's 2026 through 2031. So we have plenty of time to budget and get the logistics figured out.
So by being a 5-year program, but it's a one-time amount of money, so whenever we can spend it anywhere inside of that.
Yeah,
year.
this year we could apply for 2026 through twenty
And
32. No,
Okay, and so when you apply, you have to tell them exactly what projects you're going to use it on, right? You can't deviate from that.
yeah, the applications have to be for the specific road.
Okay.
And just for information, R.A. Smith will not be the design or inspecting engineer because they filled out the application. So the state has certain rules of conflict of interests.
Okay.
Now you said conflict of interest, but when I read some of that information on there, it seemed like they just wanted it bid out, but they couldn't even bid on it because they filled out the app.
It's a very fine line and R.A. Smith doesn't want to walk that line.
Okay.
And I don't blame him.
Sure, sure.
Okay, so we have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, great. Number 12, Treasurer's Office discussion and possible action on the following items. 12.1, approval of vouchers in the amount of $469,000. Sorry, $469,614.82 for December 2025.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any questions or comments? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. Number 13, closed session. 13.1, convene into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute, section 19.85, sub 1, sub C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, and pursuant to Wisconsin statute section 19.85, sub 1, sub F, considering financial, medical, social, or personal histories or disciplinary data of specific persons, preliminarily consideration of specific personnel problems or the investigation of charges against specific persons, except which, if discussed in public, would be likely to have a substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any person referred to in such histories or data or involved in such problems or investigations, specifically concerning personnel issues in the fire department. I make a motion to go into closed.
Second.
Trustee Gant. Trustee Hopkins.
Yes.
Trustee Faber.
Yes.
Trustee Polly.
Yes.
Trustee Brooks.
Yes.
Trustee Barheit.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. We're in closed session. Please turn off your computers and your mics. Go ahead, Brian. All right, 13.2, reconvene into open session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85 sub 2 for possible additional discussion and or action concerning any matter discussed in closed session. I made the motion at 7:40 PM, seconded by trustee Barheit with the unanimous vote to move into open session. We have nothing to report. I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? We're adjourned. Turn off your mics.